Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to paint a simple landscape. I have divided this sheet into half. So we are going to utilize only the first half and I'm using watercolor sheet. This is 300 GSM watercolor sheet and cold pressed. So basically it does depend on what kind of brand you are using. So you can use 300 GSM watercolor sheet. So let's start with today's video. Today's video is all about pine trees and little bit of foreground and background stuff. So I'm creating a line like this in between. The upper half is bigger as compared to the lower, as you can see. Now you can mark little bit of ground area. So this is the area wherein we can create some green element, and then you can create lines like this. So these lines are for pine trees and we have to make multiple, so you can have little bigger and smaller pine trees. So based on the line that you have created, you can define the size of the pine tree. Now I'm doing it throughout this particular line that I have created. This one is a little bit curvy, you can keep it straight as well. Now we can start with the watercolor, as we have already defined our pine tree areas and grasses. Now I'm using cobalt blue color. So basically I want to create a green shade. I'm mixing lemon yellow into it. So when you mix lemon yellow and blue, you will get a green. If you mix red into it, you will get a brown kind of shade. But we don't need brown, we need little earthy green color. So I'm mixing more blue into it, and now you can see how beautiful this green color is. Now you can keep this color as well, or else you can make it more darker or more on the blue side. So I'm adding more blue. So one side I'm adding ultramarine blue and another side I'm adding cobalt blue. So ultramarine blue is a little more on the brighter side, so I think cobalt blue is okay, and green color is also fine. So likewise you can have your own green color, and with the help of lighter shade for the first layer, you can start creating pine trees. So I have started with the bigger pine tree, as you can see. Now you need to apply pressure a little bit into your brush, or you can utilize the length of brush to create little thicker strokes like this, and these are random stroke. I am also creating in between gaps between these bulk, so keep doing it, and the upper portion have smaller strokes and the lower portion have bigger, and something like this you can create. Now this particular step we need to do for all the pine trees that we have. The only difference is some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. Now with the help of little darker color, and when my sheet is wet, I'm creating couple of more strokes like this. From this center towards the outward direction, you can create something like this. Now either you can keep it like this, or else you can add one more layer of color, which we are going to do later on. So let's do the first layering. So this is the first tree. Now let me repeat the same thing for the second tree as well. So based on the size, you can define your tree branches, and the upper branches are small in size and the lower branches are bigger, basically creating a triangle or conical kind of shape. So you need to consider that, and keep adding these kind of tree throughout the line that we have. Now we don't have very specific direction to paint this. You can have your own version based on what kind of stroke you are creating around this particular line, and you can make your own pine tree. So I like to do something like this, so I'm doing it, and we have done these 4, as you can see. Now I'm moving forward with little bit in a speed way, because now you have understood what's need to be done. So you just need to repeat the same thing for all the lines that you have, but remember, you need to do it slowly and gradually and at your own pace. You don't have to copy my speed, because anyways I'm showing these things in a little speed way to save my time. So repeating the exactly same thing what we did for the other trees, and as you can see all the trees are a little different. So as I said, there is no rule as such. Based on what kind of stroke you are getting, you can have difference in your pine tree. Now in the lower portion I'm adding more color to make it more darker, and I'm spreading it a little bit. Now you can do a little bit in between as well to make a ground. So I'm doing it with the help of same color, as you can see. Now with the help of clean water, so just clean your brush and with the help of clean water try to blend the color, try to avoid any hard edges, and likewise you can have a nice lighter darker ground. So make sure you have all different kind of color. So something like this you can do. Now my sheet is quite wet, the lower portion is quite wet because I'm using water. So in this particular step, if you want, you can have different other shade of green as well. So I'm thinking to use sap green also in between. So what you can do, you can mix more lemon yellow into it to make it a little lighter and vibrant, and just go around to have this kind of green as well. So definitely different kind of green you can add to make a nice ground kind of structure. So do it until you're satisfied, but don't overdo it, because in watercolor there is no going back. So rather than overdoing it, make sure you're doing it slowly and gradually and thinking about what you are doing. So I think I'm satisfied with this much. My pine trees are also dried. Now I'm adding another layer of color. I'm making it more darker green, and then I'm again going throughout my trees, but this time only in between or at the base of every branches that I have. So you don't have to hide the previous color. All the color should be visible. If you can have first layer little more lighter as compared to the mine, so that you can see the difference between these two color, and just do whatever we did in the first layer. We are doing the exactly same thing, but the space is little lesser and we are able to see the previous color as well. And keep doing it for all the trees that you have. So I have added couple of more trees in between. Now I'm using very light shade of blue color. So it is as good as you are picking a small pigment and lots of water to make it very light. And then with this particular lighter shade, you are creating a pine tree again, roughly. This time roughly you can do this. And in between you can create more trees with this particular shade, the lighter shade. So these three, we can assume these are at distance, and that is why it is lighter in shade. So with the help of very light shade of green or blue or mix of green blue, you can have more trees in between. Again, bigger, smaller, all kind on both the side. And this time you can simply create an abstract version of pine tree also, because it is anyways at distance, so we are not able to see the proper structure. So we're done with the pine trees, and this much pine trees are enough, I guess. And now we can start with the mountains. Although in this particular video I'm more concentrating on pine trees, so that is done. Rest things are optional. So I'm adding brown color grasses in between, which is more visible, so you can create fine lines like this. These are vertical lines, and you can create these lines in between the ground area. And you can also add brown color in between as well. So I have added something like this, but make sure you're blending it properly. So just blend it with the help of damp brush. And this much ground is enough, I guess. If you want, you can have more visible grasses, but I'm not doing it. Now let's create the mountains. Again, mountains are very far away, so the visibility is quite less. So I'm creating mountains with the help of violet color. Very light shade of violet color we needed. So I have created an outline. I'm adding clean water, creating something like this, and then in the wet area you can have very light shade of violet color and just blend it with more water. Because I need these mountains very less visible, so that's why I'm using very lighter shade of blue or violet color, whatever you want to use. I'm using violet color. Just go in between, make sure you have some white area as well in the mountain, and then create little darker stroke at the tip to have something like this. And only that much is enough. Now if you want, you can have sky area and a little bit of grasses area as well. So I'm adding clean water around the base and just a hint of green color in between. I don't want to overdo it. I want to focus on the center, so that is why everything in the center is in the darker color, and rest other area you can have very lighter shade to finish. So I'm adding just a hint of green color around it. Make sure you are using water so that you can blend it properly and you can have very lighter shade. And then once your mountain gets dried, you can have little extra color at the tip to make it more visible. So this much is enough. If you want, you can have a little bit of sky as well. So about to the mountain, you can have very lighter shade of blue. So again, I'm adding water into that particular area. Use very lighter shade of blue color. Use more water and very less pigment so that you can have very lighter shade of blue, and apply it randomly about to the mountain to have clouds. And that's it. It is a simple landscape for the beginners. So if you are a beginner, I think you can definitely try this landscape. And thank you so much for watching. See you all in the next video.